one of the things that we really focus on at ExecuNet is trying to get in front of decision makers before there's even an actual job. Okay, like really earlier on in in the stage. And so, a lot of times it's not even maybe a scenario where it's like hidden applicant tracking system. Maybe you just actually got a conversation with a stakeholder. Maybe it's that early in the phase. And here's what I've always said. You only have control over three things, and you must do them right because you have to leave it at that. If you don't do these three things right, then any extra thing you do will mostly work against you. And here are the three things. Number one, how you prepare for that stakeholder conversation. Are you researching? Are you researching them? Are you researching the company? Are you researching any public information that might be out there? Are you really getting a fresh vibe on your own value proposition to what you're going to put the spotlight on? Because sometimes people out of nerves will just go in there and talk about everything they've done. That's not going to help you. So that brings in number two, how you perform on the interview. That's why mock interviewing, that's why one of the reasons executives like to work with coaches, because they need that mock. If they blow this, there's not another 500K position just going to roll around tomorrow.
Yeah.
So this is a big deal, how you perform. And then the third thing is how you follow up.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two things that you should absolutely make sure that you follow up with. Number one, you should follow up with a thank you. Thank you. Very non-generically written, very specific to the conversation. And remember, in the thank you note is not an opportunity to reiterate everything you just said in the interview. You're thanking them for their time. And then if you take up more time to repeat the interview, that's kind of rude. So a thank you note is just that, a thank you note. And then what you follow up with, the collateral you follow up with, should be a reflection of what the conversation was that you had in the interview so that they can use it like a cheat sheet. So we use a couple different things. We use executive profiles as the one pager. We use a value graphic as a one pager. But like in our value graphic, we make sure that it addresses the 4 pillars of the value proposition, because you don't want that person who on average time from first interview to offer, average time is 3 months, and you're not in the room for 95+% of the conversation, because remember, it's a consensus decision. So that cheat sheet that you give them needs to remind them of the conversation that you had. And you don't want them referring back to your resume because that's mostly your past. If you keep following up based on your own need, like I'm excited, I haven't heard anything, hey, do you know anything yet? The subliminal message you are sending to them is, I'm all about my need, I'm not about yours. On the contrary, you follow up with a one-pager and say, hey, I know that you're having that board meeting tomorrow with the stakeholders, and so I wanted to give you this this one-pager to make it easier for your conversation. Completely different.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes keep in mind what's going on behind the scenes is that once the candidates have been interviewed, and this is the 2 or 3, I'm going to pull together the search committee to form some level of consensus in that meeting of who we're going to make the offer to. But if you were the first person, based on their schedule, sometimes it might take me 3 to 4 weeks if we're flying people in. I've heard people talk about a lot of the entire interview is done virtually. So that is something that could happen. Just the companies I worked at, for the level of senior positions, we wanted to meet that person. And sometimes we would even make sure lunch was included in that meeting, that when they came in, because we want to see, can we even break bread with them? But because that's happening, I just want you to be mindful that, when you are interviewing, you might have been the first person that we interviewed 3 weeks ago. So what Sandra's suggesting is you've got to make a lasting impression. The other thing is you've got to separate yourself from the other candidates you're competing with, because I'm going to tell you right now, you all start to look a lot alike. I've made sure I've got two strong people in the running. They've all got years of experience. They're all solid in their background. So you got to start separating yourself from the pack because you got to get the offer. So you've invested all of this, that what we're talking about. Now you got to get the offer. So
Mhm.
what Sandra's suggesting is great because it might be 3 weeks ago when they last saw you. And so now it's an opportunity for them. And actually, to be honest, they all take notes, and they'll come with their notes and they'll open them up. If they have even a very polished, nice document that what Sandra is suggesting here, it in itself separates you because someone else just sent the simple thank you note. You took the time as a leader. It tells us how you lead, how you control the process. It's a polished document, so it tells us a little bit about your character, that you're going to make sure that your image is one of professionalism. So